Hello, guys. Welcome to our channel. Just sit back, relax, and laugh with us as we talk about random and sometimes hilarious topics. If you're new to our channel, please don't forget to subscribe to stay updated on our new episodes. Thank you.
Welcome back, everyone. This is Jay again.
And this is Kay.
So, today's topic is gonna be about closure.
Medyo related siya doon sa previous episode natin.
Actually, like I mentioned before, during my showers, a lot of ideas come to mind. And then this is one of those ideas na out of nowhere talaga, it just popped up na parang it's nice to talk about. Di ba we don't really discuss yung topic na closure?
Yeah, true. Ano yung isa sa mga tanong na bumabagabag sa'yo nun?
Yeah, ang naisip ko is, how do people feel when you say closure? Closure is necessary, or do people think it's overrated? Alam mo yun, parang you're just giving too much thought on the idea of having closure, pero hindi naman talaga siya kailangan.
Okay, so what was your conclusion? Like for you personally?
My answer would be yes.
Okay.
I feel that it may not be necessary, but it is beneficial. Maraming letdowns and disappointments ang buhay. And wala naman tayong magagawa about it kung hindi mag-adjust and then move forward. Pero how often do we really address that feeling, especially if whatever happened caused you much grief or pain? Parang madalas kasi we just suppress these emotions. We just put them aside and sometimes pretend that it doesn't exist.
Or it doesn't matter. Or it doesn't affect us.
Yeah. But then, wouldn't it be better na if in yung mga ganong situations, give yourself time to really
Feel.
stop and feel and acknowledge kung ano talaga yung nararamdaman mo.
I think we have this tendency to put a strong front. Like this front that we show other people. We don't really give time or at least too much time for our feelings, or at least we don't like to show our weaknesses, I think. Kasi diba, meron ng common misconception na when you show your feelings, parang weak ka, parang ganon.
Pero aminin mo, hindi ba parang it's nice to be vulnerable din naman minsan?
Oo naman.
Minsan nga you want to find somebody who you can be vulnerable with. Oo.
Oo, gets ko yan.
Kailangan natin yun eh. Kadalasan nga lang, it's something na binabaliwala.
Na-overlook.
Kasi we live in a fast-paced world na actually minsan nga you could be mistaken for parang dwelling in the past when in fact you're just really acknowledging kung ano ba talaga nangyari.
Yeah.
And paano ba talaga, how did it affect me?
I think the fact na we can be vulnerable, that shows strength nga eh. Like when you show your vulnerability to another person. Kasi it's not easy. It's not easy to just strip off that mask and just show yourself. Like your real self, diba? To other people. So, I guess, timely rin naman itong topic na to.
Ayun, so ako, that's my stand with regard to whether closure is necessary or not. How about you?
For me, I think same tayo na it's not really like necessary in this world. There are a lot of things that don't have a clear-cut ending. And you just kind of have to live with that. Also, I think that closure is not, it's not like a switch that you can just turn on and turn off. You know, I think it's a process. Ongoing process siya na how you accept things, kung ano man yung nangyari na yon, and kung overthinker ka nga, isip ka na naman ulit. Hindi siya yung parang, okay, nagising ako. Okay na ako. Hindi siya ganon. You may think that you're okay, but then when something similar happens, maaalala mo ulit eh.
Exactly. And gusto ko lang pala balikan, kasi when we say closure, di ba, oftentimes, people relate it to romantic relationships
Yeah.
When romantic relationship has ended, usually doon nila nare-relate na, I needed closure for me to move on,
Yeah.
ganun. But I actually think na closure, it's applicable to a lot of different scenarios. For example, when you lose a loved one, a parent losing an unborn child, maybe possible din na halimbawa, unrealized dreams.
Yeah.
Or para sa mga career-oriented people na you could be working so hard for a promotion for so many years and then it just didn't happen for you. Alam mo yun, the process of acknowledging lahat ng nafe-feel mo because you've invested so much on whatever that is and then things didn't turn out the way you expected it to. So, whatever future you've envisioned, wala na.
Yeah, nag-shatter na siya.
Oo. Like, so, how do you pick yourself up and move forward from mga ganung klaseng situations in life?
Okay.
Di ba, lagi we're not really expected to, pero feeling ko, we perform according to how we think society expects us to. You just dust yourself off, try to live again.
Yeah.
Pero, when similar things happen, it will bring back all the emotions that came with yung pinagdaanan mo. And then, you circle back to whatever that moment, whatever that situation turned you into. So, babalik ka na naman doon. It doesn't really mean closure, it involves another person. For example, forgiveness. I will only get closure if this person apologizes to me. Ganun eh. Minsan, emotional closure siya. Like, you have to pause, and then you have to feel, and then you have to decide that, okay, I'm ready, and I want to close this chapter na.
Yeah. Oo. Pero I think it doesn't mean naman na, okay, I close this chapter na. Pero it doesn't mean that it will be completely forgotten. Oo, maalala
mo pa rin,
mo pa rin.
syempre. Hindi ka naman nagkaroon ng amnesia. You forgive, but you're not naman required to forget.
Yeah. Kasi, they're two different things eh. Parang, we are taught to forgive. Kasi nga, di ba, as Christ forgave us. Sabihin natin na, di ba may mga nagsasabi na, ano ba yan, kalimutan mo na, ang tagal-tagal na nun. It doesn't mean that if you remember, na hindi mo pa naman na-forgive yung tao eh. Right? It's just that, nandyan siya sa utak ko eh, naalala ko eh, kasi this thing happened to me, di ba? Parang gano'n.
But isn't it na the difference between having closure about something is you would still remember, but yung response mo will be different as opposed to when you don't have closure pa with whatever that is. Just being able to acknowledge na, oo, kinlose ko na kasi yung chapter na yan, it makes it easier for you to focus on the possibilities na.
Kasi nga, na-process mo na siya sa utak mo. Like, meron ng nag-process na siya initially sa utak mo. Kaya, iba na yung pag-react mo once na you encounter similar situations nga. So, on that note, is there anything that you would like to share about, have you had any experience na you needed closure?
That I needed closure from. For me, it's most likely yung my mom's passing. Kasi we were very, very close. Sobrang mahirap siya dahil, alam mo yun, parang you never really envisioned life without her. And then, you wanted to be a lot of things because of this person. And then, all of a sudden, biglang nagbago lahat. Yeah. I'm not confident pa rin naman to say na may closure na ako pagkawala niya. But I would say na I'm in the process of getting there. It's true naman what they say na time heals naman din talaga. Every year, it gets easier in the sense na siguro kasi hindi na ganun ka-fresh yung memory, hindi na ganun ka-fresh. So, yung hurt, hindi na rin ganun ka-deep. Pero, it doesn't really remove it completely.
When it first happened, how did you like cope with it?
Feeling ko nga, I wasn't given a chance to process what was happening. Overnight from a single diagnosis, biglang nagbago na lahat. Tapos syempre, ang dami nang kailangan gawin medically. Throughout the process, I was the one beside her 24/7. So, I didn't really have time to really process what was going on or how I was feeling. I didn't want naman to break down and for her to see me, di ba? Kasi you want her naman to be positive kahit papano. So, during that time, wala. Hindi ko talaga na-process. Yes, I know what was happening, pero I couldn't really acknowledge how I was feeling. Na parang I felt like that's not the time for that. There are things that needed to be done, and I cannot just stop and cry. But deep inside, that's how it felt. It felt like, paano na?
So, when did you finally allow yourself to feel?
Hindi ako masyado sure. Kasi, syempre, when everything was over, so you have to go back to normal eh. Wala siyang defining point, I would say, that I can share na, by this time, parang I'm able to acknowledge na ganito, na
okay, but
ganun talaga
but
yun
did you reach
nangyari.
out to anybody?
Siyempre, family kami. Family yung nawalan. So, I realized din na parang I didn't want to show them naman din na parang na nahirapan ako mag-move forward. I don't want naman na ma-affect ko yung process din nila of moving forward. I'm just really grateful that I have RD group because it feels like a safe place for me to really just open up and just be raw and real with, you know, how I feel. You know, I was able to acknowledge kung ano talaga yung nafe-feel ko during that time without having to be concerned about yung parang guarding your emotions
and
as
affecting
well, parang
other
ganon.
people's moving on process.
So it was really helpful for me to have you guys.
Actually, alam mo, hindi pa ako part ng D group nun. But I'm really happy na
Oo, wala ka pa pala.
Hindi pa tayo kakilala nun, Besh. But I'm really happy that the D group was able to provide you with, can I say, comfort, or gave you the avenue to pause and to feel. Kasi I think very important yun, lalo na it's something that's really so traumatic. So, yeah.
And you know, having people who, kasi when you go through something like this, you just can't shut up about it. I'm not sure if you can relate. Pero you know in your head that you are talking nonstop about it and you keep repeating the same stories, but you can't help yourself. And just having people who you know will be willing to listen to you go on and on about the same thing is a big help.
Isang malaking tulong yun eh. They don't really even have to say anything. Just the fact na nandun sila and that they're willing to listen to you.
And something I realized din about grief, when it comes to somebody, losing somebody they love, being that third person, it's really hard to say or to find the right things to say. But reality is, you don't really have to say anything kasi the person only needs to know
you're there.
That nandyan. Kasi you already lost somebody. Yung fear mo actually is, for me, yung nafe-feel ko din was, kasi maliit na family lang kami. Nabawasan pa kami ng isa. Yung meron kang fear na parang eventually I'm gonna end up alone, all by myself, it's really a big help to be reassured na
Yeah.
I'm just here. You don't have to fear that you will be alone because I'm just here. Ang mahirap din kasi talaga sa grief, 'di ba sinasabi nila madalas to na there's no
Yeah.
end to it eh. When you lose somebody you love, it could take you 5 years, 10 years, 20 years. Hindi mo pa rin completely masasabi na okay ka na. Pero time really helps. Eh ikaw,
Ako,
meron ka bang could be something from the past or it could be something that just recently happened that you feel like you need closure for?
I don't think I have something currently that I need closure for. Isa lang yung naiisip ko ngayon na something that's traumatic. And it's not really grief. It's not related to grief, but it's something traumatic pa rin on my part. Kasi before, when I was working at this place, it was the first time that I experienced verbal and like emotional, mental abuse even. Yeah, umabot siya sa point na whenever, like, I get scared whenever I have to go to work. Ganung level siya. And I'm not exaggerating. Ganun talaga siya. And my family, when you talk to them, they can attest to that. I can relate kanina, yung sinasabi mo na, you can't shut up about it kasi ganun din ako nung time na yon. As in, umaga, gabi. Pag wala ako dito sa bahay, tahimik sila. Pag nandito ako sa bahay, as in, kwento lang ako ng kwento kasi laging may something na nangyari. Tapos alam mo yung feeling na ayaw mo na sila i-burden with yung kung ano man yung nafe-feel mo. Pero you can't stop yourself eh. Parang gusto mo talaga siyang ilabas. So, yung akin kasi, I would get berated for no reason at all.
Wow.
Tapos in public
Bakit?
pa siya. Actually, hindi ko rin alam kung bakit. So parang sobra siyang traumatizing kasi parang at one point naisip ko, hindi ako pinanganak para pagalitan. Especially,
wait, were you the only one na
as far as I
nagaganon?
know. But yun nga, pag sasabihin niya, Karen, halika, samahan mo ko. Alam ko na. I would brace myself for that kasi it always happens in public. So, ganun siya. Like, sobrang torture siya sa akin. Actually, I don't think...
Gaano ka katakas?
Hindi ko siya kinaya. As in, less than 1 year lang, I think.
Okay, for somebody na who's experiencing gantong klaseng quote-unquote abuse at work,
hindi
1 year
yata
is a
umabot
long
ng 1
time.
year. Kasi hindi ko na talaga kinaya. Ang galing ko. Ang inisip ko pa talaga nun, ang pangit niya tignan sa resume kung umalis ako agad. So, I stuck with it. And then, so hindi lang yung pagagalitan ka niya for no reason. He would make those inappropriate remarks din na hindi dapat directed towards women. Actually, they could be considered as, sexual harassment.
Bakit hindi natin siya kasuhan?
Hindi na kawawa, my family eh. Yun yung naisip ko actually. Kaya dun sa, exit interview ko, when I was asked, I think they were fishing eh. But I didn't kasi I didn't say anything. I don't know. I'm still thinking if it was the right thing to do. Pero kasi ang naisip ko talaga was his family. Kasi pag once na nilabas ko lahat yun, I don't think he would be able to find another job.
So to, corporate to. So this person is also employed.
Yeah. So, ayun. Tapos, as in, nafe-feel ko na talaga yung sarili ko, like, araw-araw, takot ako. Halo-halo siya eh. Like, fear, anger. Nung nag-resign na ako finally, it got me sick pa nga eh. As in, literally sick. I have a condition right now because of that.
I'm curious lang. Let me go back. When you just started, how long before these kinds of abuse started?
Siguro mga a month or 2 after mga ganon.
And then, yung coworkers mo, they witness itong mga incidents na to? Hindi.
Lumalabas kami ng office.
In public.
So, hindi nila nakikita. I had D-groups before, but then I always went abroad kasi. So, laging napuputol. So, at that time, I didn't have a D-group. So, I only really ranted to, a friend of mine, tsaka dito, sa family, sa bahay. Kawawa sila. Kasi wala silang choice. I know.
Grateful
I tell
for
them
you
I love
guys.
them every day. So, I didn't really have like a personal relationship pa with God. But I was a Christian, I think, by name only. Kasi I drifted away from Him. So, pero at that time talaga, as in, I really didn't know what else I can do. So, nag-pray ako. I still remember that time when I prayed, nasa kotse ako nun, on my way to the office. As in, sinabi ko, Lord, pinapaubaya ko siya sa inyo kasi hindi ko na talaga kaya. As in, hindi ko na alam anong gagawin ko sa tao na to. As in, nag-pray talaga ako na parang give me strength.
But this wasn't time pa that you resigned. Akala ko ito na yung the car ride before you submitted your
It's
resignation.
just that I felt like I needed to ask for divine intervention during that time.
For wisdom to know how to respond. Kasi it's a really difficult situation to be in. And just the fact na you can't really tell anybody in the workplace, mahirap nga din talaga to bring it up.
Yeah, and even if you shared it to your coworkers naman, ang iisipin lang nila, sumbongera ka.
But what if, hindi lang naman ikaw yung naging victim nito? What if you shared and then, it encourages somebody else to speak up? Dahil, di ba, ganun naman usually yung abuse eh. Domino effect siya eh, na unless somebody is brave enough to bring it up, tahimik lang talaga lahat. But magsimula lang na may isa na mag-stand up against this person, ma-encourage na yung iba na lumabas din.
Kasi feeling ko, if ever man may victim na other victims pa, yun yung pinalitan ko. I was the one who worked closely with this person eh. So kahit na hindi nila nakita directly, napapansin nila na parang may something. So, yeah, I think
that's so weird. Like, I'm trying to picture it in my head na parang, ano ba problema nitong taong to? Pero hindi ko siya masyado mag-grasp. Maybe I need more
tanong
details.
Ka lang.
Saka na yun, sige. Tanong lang kayo, guys, if you have questions din. Kasi it makes me wonder na parang, ano ba, parang mentally, may problem ba siya? Or
hindi ko rin talaga alam eh.
Anything
so
like
at some
that?
point, parang sinabi ko, yun nga, like, kailangan ko pa ba ng closure? Like, do I need to find out the reason why he treated me like that? Parang, is it worth it na tanungin? O baka, mainis lang ako lalo?
Not necessarily naman. Kasi yung closure mo naman can be, ganun nga, parang same with grief, an emotional closure. Like, acknowledging na, I had to tolerate this kind of abuse. I want to put an end na to how it made me feel. I want to start a new chapter. I'm not gonna let something like that affect me anymore.
I think yung process ko of closure, it started when I prayed. Kasi after I prayed, I'm not even kidding. As in, a huge weight was lifted off my shoulders talaga.
Or possibly then kasi because when you prayed, that was actually the time that you surrendered, that you acknowledged na parang, Lord, I don't know how to handle this situation. So, I'm lifting it up to you and you be the one.
Ganun
you
nga
take care
actually
of
yung prayer
me.
ko.
You teach me how to respond when something like this
So,
happens again.
I think dahil nga dyan dahil dyan sa nangyari na yan, kaya lumala yung pagka-emotionally constipated ko. Kasi nga, I couldn't tell anybody about it, di ba? Ayun, yun naman yung sa akin.
Pero would you say na you have closure na for that? Or you think parang hindi necessary for this?
I don't think it's
one?
necessary. Kasi pinaubaya ko na nga siya kay Lord eh. So whatever it is na pinagdadaanan niya nung time na yun, kaya niya ginawa yun. I hope naman sana na wala nang naging victims pa after ko, di ba? Yun na lang talaga yung hino-hope ko. it's not like I need a closure for that pa. Kasi I have forgiven him a long time ago na.
Then that's your closure. That's your closure. The fact that you've forgiven this person for whatever he did, na yun for you. Kasi you no longer hold it in your heart. Wala na siyang space doon sa puso mo, di ba? When you have unforgiveness, you're giving them free rent in your heart. Hindi nga sila aware eh. Pero,
hindi, na-evict ko
nakatira
na.
sila doon.
Na-evict ko na. Hindi,
Evict mo
but,
na. That's good.
Yeah. Kasi like I mentioned earlier na, for me, closure is optional nga. So, if closure is offered or is available, then it's good. Pero more often than not, I think we have to accept the fact that maybe no closure is also closure in itself. Kasi you really can't find the answers to everything that's happening to you. Or you can't always find the reason why. Uh-oh.
Yeah, and with a lot of things that happen to us in this life, that's something that I learned then just recently na, you know, sometimes, di ba kasi we wait on the Lord. Like, we wait for the day that we will understand how what happened is the best. Pero, we should also be okay with not knowing. Kasi we may never really find out. We may never really get our answer. And hindi naman siya obligated to let us know or to explain to us.
And I think the sooner we surrender to His will and the sooner that we accept that we're not gonna get answers to everything, the easier our lives would be.
So, pwede din natin sabihin na surrendering to God is actually
that's
a form of
that's
closure.
A beautiful way of saying it. Yeah, I think so.
Diba? Kasi lahat ng struggles mo, lahat ng pains, disappointment, and hurts, lahat ng yun,
you release
you
it
just
to
bring
him.
it to Him na lang. So, you wrap it up, you give it to Him, and then siya nang bahala doon. Then you can start anew.
That's what He wants us to do din naman eh, to Him. Ay.
Medyo malungkot tong topic natin today.
Emotional.
More on
serious.
Emotional.
Muna tayo sa serious, besh.
Oo nga eh.
Yeah,
It's an emotional journey naman talaga. And, di ba, casually, we don't really, like, yung mga ganitong usapan kasi, dadaanan nyo lang briefly, but you don't really talk about it. Hindi siya usually yung parang, okay, let's sit down, let's talk about it, himayin natin. Kasi yung pag-process, it helps din eh. It helps you with healing and moving forward.
No, but I think this is a necessary topic. I think this is actually the first time that I talked about it na medyo kebs na ako.
Kasi di ba, when we pray about something, we have to be realistic din naman na hindi naman overnight. Parang yun nga, you pray about it, you surrender, and then you keep walking. Hindi naman siya pagising, I prayed tonight, and then tomorrow morning, okay na lahat. Hindi naman ganun.
I read
so it's still a process.
I'm not sure who said it, pero it goes something like, when you pray for something and then it happens, that's God's direction. And then when you pray for something, it doesn't happen, that's God's protection. I think that's a very good way to putting it.
I read that too.
Yeah.
And it really
resonated with me. Na parang, totoo naman. So, I think, yung when setbacks happen talaga, not just in one aspect or one area of your life. Of course, when it happens to you, hindi mo agad-agad mapaprocess na parang, baka may, part to ng plan ni God. Parang will niya to. Like, something is gonna happen in the future or something. Siyempre, when you're in that moment, hindi mo naman maiisip lahat ng yun eh, di ba? Pero, yun nga, I think the key really is to believe, to trust in who He is, and that if you encounter the setbacks, that you're not alone. That He's there with you, even if you push Him away. And that He only wants what's best for you naman.
Yun kasi we have to acknowledge that fact din na we know that He wants the best for us. But the reality talaga is we don't really always
and we may
understand.
never,
We don't really understand how, loss or grief or disappointments or life's letdowns, how they can be good for us. And a lot of times we pray that we find the reasons why, or we finally get the answers to the whys. Like we want an explanation. But then again, we won't always get that explanation, or we won't always
and I think
find
that's
out
where
why.
faith comes in and our understanding of him talaga. Kasi kung hindi, it's really easy to let go eh. Right? It's really easy to resent him
Oo.
when something bad happens.
When something bad happens, it's actually an opening. Like you have two roads to take. You can leave or you can cling. Ganun din yung na-feel ko eh. Ganun din yung na-feel ko during that time eh. And I'm just grateful na I chose to cling. Kasi if that broke me and then I left, I don't know kung nasa na ako by this time.
But was it
nangyari
like
sa akin ngayon.
Was it a close fight? Like, were you even close to letting go?
Looking back at it kasi now, parang like, if it was a timeline, I couldn't exactly pinpoint na like, I was here. But I can vividly remember, I really cried out to him because I really felt during that time that I was in a dark place. And I was willingly staying in that dark place. And a part of me just wanted to dwell in there and not leave forever. So I remember myself sitting in the couch and just crying, and I prayed, Lord, help me to get out of this because I don't want to stay here, but this is where I am. So, because hindi ko kaya mag-isa, I'm gonna rely on my own to get myself out of this doom. I could not.
Similar starting point of our process, the closure process. It all started with that prayer.
Conclusion natin both, yes, it is beneficial, most especially if you find yourself circling back to these negative feelings or emotions or thoughts. It is necessary for you because it will help you break that cycle. But at the same time, you can let go and let God. And that in itself is a form of closure.
Agree. I think yung closure kasi, it's more than just forgiving yung person. Although kasali yon. Pero like you mentioned before, it's more of coming to terms with what happened and closure from your feelings. I think yun yung mas importante when it comes to yung closure. Like yung negative thoughts and negative feelings mo during that time. Yun yung kailangan talaga natin ng closure from.
When you have closure na, it opens up a world of possibilities na. You only see the possibilities from then on. Exactly.
And the fact that we're able to talk about it like this now, it doesn't mean that we're naive or that we're too innocent or that we don't know anything about the real world. It's just that we have decided to let go and let God. But of course, we also do our part. Those na hindi na natin kayang kontrolin, binigay na natin sa Kanya yun eh. Yeah.
Wag na kasi tayo
I think yun yung one
control.
of the biggest problems kasi we have, like humans, gusto natin to, like, we're in control, di ba? Pero the fact of the matter is, we're not in control. The sooner we realize that, the sooner that we can be happy. So that was just our personal take on, is closure necessary? If you guys have any experiences or thoughts, please feel free to share them with us by commenting on this video or by sending us an email, jkallday0821@gmail.com.
Yep. And we hope that it has somehow helped you process whatever you're going through right now.
And if you need somebody who will listen to you, please feel free to contact us. So till our next episode.
This is Jay.
This is Kay.
JK all day, signing out. Bye.